Well, the Senate panel advances FDA Commissioner nominee Dr. Hahn. The Texas oncologist voiced priorities for clear labeling in the sector during his confirmation hearing last month. It's a celebrated move for the dairy producers, calling for improvements in product transparency. And joining us now with the latest is Bjerga. He's with the National Milk Producers Federation. And Alan, as always, thanks for joining us today. So speak to the value of Dr. Hahn's comments for the dairy sector in regards, of course, to, as we said, plant-based beverages.
Yeah, so Dr. Hahn, during his confirmation hearing, was responding to a question asked by Senator Tammy Baldwin of Wisconsin. She was talking about whether Dr. Hahn was aware of the importance of transparent labeling so that consumers know what they should have in terms of the nutritional content of plant-based beverages versus dairy milk. He acknowledged that this is an issue in the marketplace. He pledged to take a look at it as soon as he's FDA chief. You know, this is an important milestone for us. It's really since Scott Gottlieb, the previous FDA commissioner, talked about how almonds don't lactate in 2018, that our organization really got some traction on an issue we've been talking about for a very long time. It looks like Dr. Hahn takes this seriously as well. He said that he would work with Senator Baldwin's office in examining this issue. Of course, Senator Baldwin also is very informed on this issue, and you know, we look forward to working with anyone and everyone who will clean up this nutritional confusion in the marketplace.
And now this role, of course, does serve as the nation's top health official. What do you hope to see moving forward with his leadership?
Well, of course, he's only going to have a little bit more than a year if there's a first Trump term. He could stick around longer if there's a second Trump term. But either way, we know he's going to want to get down to business if he's confirmed, which we hope will happen shortly. He said this will be on his agenda. We're hoping that, you know, the education that he can receive from offices like Senator Baldwin and his own experience as a person who cares greatly about public health will carry the day, and we'll get some transparency in labeling.
Alan, switching gears, NMPF has voiced support for the immigration legislation that's making it to the House floor. What potential benefits do you see this bringing to the dairy sector?
Well, for dairy, it's huge because this legislation actually gets us into the H-2A program, which has become the main vehicle for farm workers, for agricultural labor, immigrant labor in the United States. It's right now not really friendly toward year-round programs. It's a part-year visa. Dairy, of course, is a year-round perishable product, and that's made it very difficult for dairy producers to be part of the H-2A program. It's not a perfect bill. There will be things that need to be worked on, but if we can get through the House of Representatives this legislation, which, by the way, ag-only immigration legislation has never passed the House, we will be able to have something that can then be conferenced with potentially a Senate package. You can work out some of the details and get something that will be a lot better for dairy, and certainly something that could be better for American agriculture.
Alan, what's next for that bill? Do you have any guess on a timeline for us?
Well, we're still hoping for House passage this year. I mean, it got through the committee. It was a bipartisan vote. That bodes well. Of course, there's a lot of other things on the agenda, from USMCA to potential House impeachment of the president. There's a lot of things going along, but there is momentum for this bill, and we're hoping that at least by the end of this year, if not early next year, we can see some House floor action on a really needed immigration reform and a really important step toward getting that reform.
And Alan, before we wrap things up, the 2020 DMC sign-up deadline, that's coming up next week. Bring us up to speed. What are you hearing from the dairy industry?
Well, frankly, we've seen a little bit lower pace of sign-ups than what you saw for the 2019 package. When you take a look at USDA forecasts for dairy margins next year, I think some farmers are wondering if they need it next year. NMPF and a lot of dairy experts would urge folks to still consider signing up for this program. Dairy markets are volatile and unpredictable, and it's great to have that insurance policy that, frankly, is much more affordable than the old margin protection program was. It's a strong safety net for dairy. A lot of producers signed up for 5 years. Even they have to stop at the FSA office to update their history. But for farmers who are considering a 1-year sign-up for next year, we'd still urge them to take a look at it regardless of what margin forecasts might be.
All right, Alan, as always, thank you very much for your insight today. Alan Bjerga, he's with the National Milk Producers Federation, joining us from our studios in Washington, D.C.